The 2019 NFL schedule has been released, meaning it's time for me to give you my record predictions for the 2019 NFL season. At least the early predictions for your favorite team's record. Before I do, Gronk spike the like button, comment below your opinion on your team's record, and subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL. Let's start it off in the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen was 5-6 as a starter last season with a horrible offensive supporting cast. 8-8 makes a lot of sense to me. With the growth from their quarterback, an underrated coach, an extremely underrated defense, and adding some decent targets to their offense, I think Allen can make it work, and I think the Bills can finish with a pretty good record this year. The Dolphins have pretty much done everything but announce outright that they're tanking. But you know how Fitzmagic works. You never know when it's going to strike, meaning they'll probably finish with only 3 wins. The Patriots are the Patriots. They win their division every year, and they get a first-round bye every year, and that's just the way things work in the NFL. The typical early season struggle does seem to happen more often than not in New England, but it probably won't happen this season. Outside of the Steelers, the Patriots play 4 of their next 6 within their division. The other 2 are against the Skins and the Giants. I see the Patriots with an improved 12-4 record. The Jets are extremely intriguing. I really love their offseason additions, but I still don't feel they're fully there yet. My sense is a greatly improved team with a new identity that excites the city of New York, but is just outside the playoffs. 9-7 for Sam Darnold's second season. I have serious questions about the Ravens this upcoming season. Can Lamar get it done as a passer, especially with no targets to throw to? Will the defense be the same as last year with all the losses they've sustained? I believe in a John Harbaugh coach team, and I always will. But they'll take a step back at 7-9 in an improved AFC North. Cincy is an odd spot. They were really looking like a decent team early last season with the last charge of Marvin Lewis, but injuries derailed them. The Bengals have a few top-notch playmakers in Mixon, Green, and even Boyd. But with Zach Taylor as their new head coach, I just think they're bound to have a few bumps in the road early. I'm going 4-12. I believe, Cleveland. I believe. And at this moment, I have the Browns winning the AFC North and going 11-5. There's just too much talent to doubt it. Now, could the Browns fall on their face? Certainly, but I don't see it happening with a motivated Odell. The second-year jump for Baker should be a promising one, and the city of Cleveland should see their Browns back in the offs. You know what? I'm kind of liking where the Steelers are at. They have their backs against the wall, no one believes in them, no hype, and everyone loves the Browns. Guys, this team still has Big Ben Roethlisberger, a top 20 quarterback of all time. They should be better on defense. Their offensive line is elite. They still have Juju, they still have Connor, and really outside of Antonio Brown, who, yeah, sure, he's a great player, he was also a huge distraction. And I don't really see the collapse that everyone is guessing is going to happen happening. I'm going with the Steelers finishing 10-6 and actually making the playoffs this year when they didn't make it last year. The Texans aren't getting much heat for not doing much in the offseason, and I don't really get it. They had the perfect opportunity to improve their team with all the money they had. Instead, they probably end up worse off. Still with one of the most dreadfully awful offensive lines in the entire NFL. And remember, this team started last season with an awful record, and thanks to a very easy schedule, they made their way into the playoffs. This year, they play the Colts and the Titans twice. They play the Patriots, they play the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Ravens. This could be a year of regression for Houston, and I actually see that happening at 8-8. I have always been a huge Andrew Luck guy. I believe he was the league's second best quarterback last season, and this year he should be even better. The Colts are young. They're hungry. And they do have expectations this time around. Justin Houston, he was an excellent addition in my opinion. Devin Funchess, he may do better than people actually expect. I see the Colts with an explosive offense and a bend but don't break defense at 11-5 in 2019, despite a tougher schedule than a season ago. With Nick Foles instead of Blake Bortles, this team is a complete wild card. I just don't know what to think about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have no idea what to expect from them. Their defense is still arguably the most talented in football, but that offensive line is worrisome, and the Jaguars, they'll be a team that I think will hang around in every game, but actually winning a game is different than hanging around. I see 6-10 for Jacksonville this season. The Titans are the definition of solid. They're a pretty good team all around. They have no real weaknesses, but they have no real strengths either. They have a lot of good, but not a lot of great. I really am not a fan of Marcus Mariota, and I personally never have been. I do like Mike Vrabel. I think he's an excellent coach, and I really like what he did in his first season. I think the Titans did an excellent job during free agency, adding Humphries, Saffold, and Wake. But again, just like everyone else in the AFC South, their schedule is dreadful. They do play a lot of good teams, but at least some of them are at home. 9-7, I think that's about right for the Tennessee Titans in 2019. This Broncos defense is potentially very scary with Vic Fangio at the helm. But Joe Flacco? Really, Joe Flacco? No Emmanuel Sanders for much of the season. I just don't see any targets that he can really rely on. I think the Broncos are going to be a very low-scoring team. They have a mediocre offensive line, and as much as I love Phillip Lindsay, I'll pass on Denver once again. Give me 5-11. Can Mahomes carry the Chiefs back to the AFC Championship or potentially even the Super Bowl? Time will tell. This season, I think, is going to be a true test for not only Mahomes, but the entire Chiefs organization. A whole season of tape, a whole season of tendencies, a whole season of hype, the Tyreek Hill issues. I could see the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. I could also see the Chiefs completely missing the playoffs. And despite playing a lot of top-tier teams, a lot of them are in Arrowhead, so that is a positive. The defense is still extremely awful, terrible, dreadful, whatever word you want to attach to it. But the offense and the home field are electric, and that's why I'm sticking with the Chiefs being a top-tier team in the AFC at 11-5. The Chargers are still arguably the most talented team in the AFC, but I do worry about Rivers' regression, this team not having a home field, and overall Charger luck with injuries. They're easily a playoff team for me, but I don't quite see the 12-4 finish of a year ago. I have them tied with the Chiefs at 11-5, and that's my pick for now. The Oakland Raiders are going to be fun. Gruden, Antonio Brown, it's going to be madness, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be funny. I cannot wait for this 5-11 football team to hit the field in 2019. An incredible draft could change my mind, but the Raiders still need plenty of help and really have the worst schedule in the NFL of anybody I've seen. The only way I see them drastically improving this season is if Derek Carr can find his 2016 form once again. The Dallas Cowboys. On paper, they might be better than 2018. I think it's pretty close. Their division, top to bottom, is probably worse as well, so that's a positive. They do play a lot tougher of a schedule, so can the Cowboys, a history of a team that usually makes the playoffs and then misses the playoffs the following year, can they gain consistency under Jason Garrett? That's the question. My thought is they're borderline on the playoffs. I have them right now at 9-7. No comment. Someone please help Saquon Barkley. Please. I'm sorry, Saquon, but your team's going 3-13. One of the most talented rosters in the entire NFL. If Carson Wentz can settle in, play within Peterson's system a bit more, he can easily get back into the elite quarterback conversation with all the targets he has at his disposal. Think about it. They added Jackson, They already have Ertz, Aguilar, Jeffrey. This offense is loaded. Plus, they have a legit running back this season in Jordan Howard, and of course, probably the deepest rotation of pass rushers on defense. I'm calling a home field advantage at 12-4 this season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yuck. The Redskins. I feel bad for Alex Smith. I really do, but this team is probably the most dull team in the NFL. They just don't excite me. And it's not really that they don't have any good players, because they do, but Case Keenum? Colt McCoy? Does it even matter? I'm going 4-12. The Bears are a tough team for me to evaluate. I loved them last year and was rewarded for it. Losing Vic Fangio, though, the best defensive coordinator in football, that has me worried. And as much as I've been a backer of Trubisky, he hasn't shown much consistency. I'm optimistic that in his second year under Matt Nagy, he can thrive. But then again, expect their defense to take a slight step back. Overall, I see the Bears as a playoff team, but I'm not overly confident at 10-6. I was harsh on the Lions last year, but I was correct about the Lions last year. This upcoming season, I think's different. They made strides in free agency to make this team one that I think is going to be very difficult to play against in 2019. I just don't think it's enough strides in this division. Their division will likely hold them back from doing really any damage or getting to the playoffs. If Matt Stafford can play closer to the way he did in 2016 or even earlier in his career when he was capable of carrying this football team, then maybe we're talking about a different team entirely, and maybe we're talking about the Lions in the playoffs. I see Patricia's second season as an 8-8 campaign at the end of the day. It's time for Aaron Rodgers to reclaim the NFC North. He just has to. It's been 2 seasons without Rodgers in the playoffs, and I'm getting absolutely tired of it. I'm getting antsy. Come on, Rodgers, let's get back in the playoffs. Plus, really, Rodgers, you have the team to do it. On paper, the best defense you've had in years, a go-to receiver, a pretty underrated running back, and you got your wish with a new coach. If he can't make it, if you can't make it, Aaron Rodgers, we know that LaFleur is probably going to take all the blame. Luckily, I do believe in the Packers. I do believe, Cheeseheads. I have them 11-5 this season and winning the NFC North. We know the Vikings, they have plenty of talent. Okay, they have talent. But there's no doubt that the thing that they lack is depth. Depth at pretty much every position is a concern for Minnesota, as well as the offensive line. That's what derailed them last season. If they had an offensive line, they probably would have made the playoffs. If they can keep Cousins upright in 2019, whether that's Cook, Thielen, Diggs, I wouldn't be shocked to see them back in the playoffs, but for now, I'll stick with a conservative 9-7. The Atlanta Falcons, they're interesting. On the surface, they seem to be a team on the comeback to the playoffs after a laundry list of injuries in 2018. But if you take a closer look at their roster, it has slowly disintegrated up front along both the offensive and defensive lines. This schedule really doesn't help the cause either. If Matt Ryan could keep his best stretch of his career going, and the change at OC really sparks this offensive creativity, I think I could find Atlanta in the playoff hunt. Right now, I have them at 9-7. Is Cam healthy? Is Superman ready to go? Without him carrying the team as usual, the Panthers could be in for a rough season. But if he's 100%, the Panthers kind of intrigue me. Remember, before Cam was injured, they were destined for the playoffs last season. Plus, the Panthers, they had an under-the-radar, really good offseason. I wouldn't be shocked if the Panthers did make the playoffs, but their work is cut out for them with this 2019 schedule, so I see them going 7-9 for now, but Cam could change my mind. While the Saints' window to win Drew Brees one last Super Bowl may still be open, these losses the last 2 seasons I think are going to be wearing on the players. Now, possibly they fight harder than ever, or they can't replicate the same success. It's going to be one of the two. Brees had me worried a bit with the signs of decline at the end of last season, but overall the Saints are again one of the more dangerous NFC teams at 11-5. The Bucs finally made the right decision with their head coach. Bruce Arians will have this team playing and playing hard, and he's going to have to with this ludicrous schedule. Regardless of wins and losses, we know Arians was hired to evaluate and to help Winston's play. My feeling is we get a better Jameis Winston this season, but we get about the same Tampa Bay team at 5-11 in 2019. Cliff Kingsbury is going to be under the microscope this season. While he might not be under pressure or on the hot seat in the traditional sense of the word, everybody is going to be watching to see if he has what it takes in the NFL. His first season with the Cardinals, I think it's going to be pretty rough at 4-12. The Rams have many questions to answer after an awful Super Bowl performance. Can McVay answer after being Belichicked? Todd Gurley, you alright, bro? Regardless, I'm too big of a believer in both Sean McVay and Wade Phillips for them to slip. I see 11-5 for the Rams and the division crown once again for the third season in a row. This has to be the year for San Francisco. It just has to be. They already have a genius play caller, maybe the best tight end in the league, and a plethora of running backs. After the draft, they could have a top 5 defensive line. The question is, can Jimmy G stay healthy, and can he deliver? If he can, the 49ers will go 10-6 and make the wild card. The Hawks are once again flying right under the radar, despite handing out a record-breaking contract to Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll's club is a good one, but with the emergence of San Fran, I see them being just outside the playoff conversation at 9-7. Those are my record predictions for every team in the NFL for 2019. Let me know what you guys think about my predictions. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, comment below whether I'm an absolute idiot or I'm a genius. Peace.